Once you have your port and your panel set up, a good way to check to make sure that you have good connection, good communication with your panel is in your port, if you right click it and go to properties, bring up your port properties window, and you can go right to the ping button. Let's click on the ping button and it automatically opens up the command window and sends a ping out to the panel. A ping is the computer sending out a signal to the IP address and saying, hey, are you there? And then the IP address, if it sees it, says, yeah, I'm here, and sends it back. So as you can see, we got a reply from our IP address. So we have a good ping, which means we are talking to the panel. So now what we want to do is we're going to open up our panel. And you'll see it has doors, expansion inputs, inputs, readers, and relays listed here on the left-hand side. Now, we're going to program a door. So we're going to click on doors, and since we have an MX4, it lists all 4 doors here on the right side. Door number 1 through 4 listed right here correspond to door number 1 through 4 labeled on the panel itself. So we're going to start with door number 1. We're going to double click. And door number 1 brings up the general page here. It gives you a choice to make it an entry reader or an entry exit reader. The difference there is an entry reader would just be a reader on the outside. An entry exit would mean you have a card reader on the inside and on the outside of the door. So no matter which way you're going through the door, you're using a badge or a PIN code to get through the door. Auto relock. Auto relock on open, on close, or disable. Auto relock would be you read your card and the door unlocks. And as soon as you open it, it would auto relock since it's set on open. Or you can set it on close. So you read your card, the door unlocks, you open the door, and it stays unlocked for the either predefined set amount of time for the relay to be fired or until the door closes. You can also disable it so that when you read your card and unlock that door stays unlocked for the amount of time that is set up for that door to stay unlocked. And that would be in your relay settings, door mode time. So default, the door will unlock for 6 seconds. So if auto relock is disabled when you read your card or punch in your PIN code and the door unlocks, it will stay unlocked for 6 seconds as this is programmed currently. We're going to go ahead and set it for auto relock on open. Options: enable 2-person rule or report door open too long when unlocked. Enable 2-person rule means if I check that, you have to have 2 different cards that both have access to that door read before the door will unlock. Report door open too long when unlocked. If you have a door that has a time zone on it and unlocks that door at say 6 a.m. and keeps it unlocked until 3 p.m., anytime that door is opened and held open longer than the preset 6 seconds, it will generate an alarm telling you that the door has been open for too long. Photo call up. You can set up one of the templates when you make a badge and select it in here so that anytime anybody with that template reads their badge at a reader, it'll actually pop up their picture so you can see who it is that's going through that door. And you can set a delay for when it comes up if you want. Our next tab is the entry reader tab. Since this is currently set as entry reader, that's all we have up there. If we set it for entry exit, it'll give us an exit reader tab. So under entry reader, you can name it as reader 1 entry, and then go to the exit reader, and that is reader 09. So how it works in Hirsch is you have 8 doors on a panel. Door 1 is reader 1 all the way to door 8 being reader 8. and then it starts over. Goes back to 1 and it starts at 9 and goes all the way to 16. Reader 2 being 9 would be the exit reader. But we only have one, so we're going to go ahead and change this back to entry reader. Okay. Right in here, we don't have to put entry in because it's the only reader. What we do have here is our reader interface. So we have match or DS47 reader interface that you would use if you were using something like a scramble box or a match reader that then attached to a card reader. With the MX panels, you can now do direct Wiegand. If you use a direct Wiegand card reader, you would select onboard Wiegand. In our panel demo case here, reader 1 is a scramble prox, so we're going to leave that as a match DS47 reader interface. Next tab, options. In here we can select our card reader to do all kinds of cool stuff. One thing that we always like to do is check green LED on while relay is active. That means if you read your badge and it is accepted and access is granted, it will fire the relay that the lock is on. And the LED on the card reader will turn green and stay green for as long as that relay is active. It's just a good sign for the customers to be able to see if the door is unlocked and how long it's been unlocked for. If it's just a card reader, you can go up here to card reader and card reader LED while relay is active. You can have them both on, no big deal. As you can see, there's a bunch of different little things in here that you can check. Next tab is the logic tab. In here is something that we do from time to time. If you have something like a scramble prox, which is a keypad and a card reader built into one. Sometimes you have doors that are required to have dual access, so a keypad and a card reader. Sometimes you may only need one of them. So what you can do is put a time zone in here to make it so that it's card or code only. So either you can just read a card at it or you can use it as a keypad. You don't need to do both. Now over here, your card reader setup. Right in here, if you're using custom card codes, that would be where you enter that. Turn on the bezel tamper and enable Wiegand hex pass-through and your special handling setups. As you can see, we have a few different setups to select from in here. Now we're setting this door up as a scramble prox, which is the card reader / keypad that are integrated together. With those, that's why I'm setting it up as a match DS47 reader interface. Now, if I was putting in a Wiegand card reader, I would click here and go to card reader setups. And in card reader setups, this is where I would select my onboard Wiegand interface. Most common is just standard Wiegand with parity. But depending on the card reader that you use, you have several different options in here, as well as facility codes for different fixed bit length cards. So for our card reader, again, we're going to set it up as a match reader interface. We're going to check the green LED on while active. We have nothing going on in logic, nothing going on in card reader setup. Our next tab we're going to cover is the relay tab. We went into here just a little bit earlier to show you the door mode time. So, normal state, energize LED on or de-energize LED off. So, your normal state is your card reader's just going to be red. And when you get an access granted, it'll energize and the LED will turn green. So, we're going to leave it like this. Our timer's here, door mode time. So, when you get an access granted and that relay fires, the default is that it fires for 6 seconds, but you can change that. You can change it quite drastically. You can make it so that when you read the badge, it stays open for 6 hours if you really wanted to. Door delay time, that would be if you have something where you read the door and you can't have the relay fire immediately. So you set up a short delay time for something to happen before the relay fires. Control mode time. This is for control zones, which is something we'll get into in a later video. But a control zone can fire a relay, and you would set that up in here, how long it can fire the relay for. Same thing as an access granted. Next tab under relay is your logic tab. Now in here you have operate during time zone, actuate during time zone, disable during time zone, auto clear after time zone, and then again for control zones, trigger relays in control zone, re-trigger relays in control zone. So if you have a certain period of time and you only want that relay to operate within that amount of time, in here you can actually put in a time zone. Okay, we can go to new, and we're going to go to file, new, and we'll just, let's say we want our relay to fire from 6 a.m., 0600 to 3 o'clock p.m., which would be 1500 hours. And we're going to go Monday through Friday. Say OK. And then we double click here. And 6 to, we're on a 24-hour clock, so 1500. And it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And I'll have it follow holiday schedule 1, something we'll get into in a later video. And then we're going to save. And now, that relay will only work between the hours of 0600 and 1500 hours Monday through Friday. Actuate during time zone. If you want the door to automatically unlock for a certain amount of time, let's say your building is open from 6 a.m. to 3 p.m. You can select that time zone, and now you can see I just downloaded it to the panel here. And now your door will unlock from 0600 and it'll stay unlocked until 3 p.m. Okay? If you want a door, again, to not work during a certain time period, let's say 0600 to 1500, we can make it so that nobody can fire that relay between 0600 and 1500 Monday through Friday. Now, auto clear after time zone, that would be if you have different kinds of control zones controlling your relay. You can set up in here that everything just clears out of it after a certain time zone. So if we went 0600 to 1500 Monday through Friday in here, every day at 1500 it's going to auto clear. All right. Now let's go to our input tab. Input tab is your door contact and your request to exit. This also where you control what you see in graphics happening if you have graphics running. So under setup, the input name is the input enabled. What type of line module is in it? DTLM1 or MELM1 to MELM3. LAM2 is what it always defaults, and that's the most common. Multi-end-of-line module is what that means. Okay, here, what is the normal state of the door contact when it's secure? Well, if it's a normally closed door contact, that means when the door is shut, that contact is closed. If you have a normally open one, you can select that right here. Or we can turn the input off completely by unchecking the enable button. Your request to exit. This is what would be if, since we're on an entry reader only. If we were entry exit, we would not have a request to exit. But since we have only an entry reader, we need something on the other side of the door to tell us that it's okay for that door to be opened without a badge read. And that usually comes in the form of a push button or a passive infrared motion detector mounted up above the door. So what happens is in here you can set the request to exit to trigger a mask. That means if somebody walks under that motion detector or pushes that button, it tells the system, don't generate an alarm right now. Trigger a relay and mask. If you walk under that motion detector or push that button, it will fire the door relay or the lock, and it will also tell the system not to generate an alarm. Retrigger mask and retrigger relay mask are the exact same as trigger, except a trigger will go for the door mode time. So this one's set for 6 seconds. So when you trigger it, it won't trigger again until those 6 seconds are up. We like to go retrigger on our Rexes simply because that means every time that Rex is either pushed or sees somebody walking underneath it, it fires a command telling it not to go into alarm. Down here is our door mode time. DOTL is door open too long, so this door is set up to stay unlocked for 6 seconds when you read a badge. You can have that door open for up to 12 seconds before it will generate an alarm saying, hey, door's open. Door open too long warning time. This is something that you can set up saying, hey, the door's been open, I'm gonna generate an alarm. Entry delay and exit delay are timers that you can put on the door. So on an entry delay, if you read a badge, you can put a delay on it, say it takes 3 seconds before that door unlocks, and same thing with the exit. Once you've set up all of your tabs, you're going to come down here and say OK, and that will automatically download everything that you just programmed to your panel. We've just set up a door. The only thing we didn't do, we didn't give it a name. Let's call it Scramble Procs. 1. Say OK. Door Scramble Procs 1 setup was changed, and the name has been changed.